Welcome. My name is Christopher Balzano, and this is an abbreviated edition of Tripping on Legends, your campfire at the crossroads. It has been a year since I have done a show. I just posted an episode if you're following, but cutting a show, I'd actually cut that in December because I was talking about Christmas coming up and Thanksgiving and stuff. But this is like the first time that I've sat down, done a show live with the intent of it being released in almost a year. So if you are a follower of the show and you're wondering where we've been, whatever. It's none of your business. No, life gets in the way and things are hard and all that kind of good stuff. But you will notice that there's a different setting, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to see what is the lighting we need to do. We are no longer at the original Tripping on Legends North. I don't know what we're going to call this one, Tripping on Legends Condo. I don't know. But we've moved out, you'll notice. My normal background is not there anymore. It actually looks kind of old school because we do have the lighting from when we used to shoot the show on at Tripping on Legends South. And there's even for those of you guys who are watching on Facebook, there's even a fan going on in the back. Although it's not nearly as close, so we won't get all of those. I think there's a ghost behind you comments that we've gotten in the past. So if you are watching on Instagram at Spooky Tripping, or if you are watching at facebook.com/Tripping on Legends, thank you. And we've got a really interesting show tonight because I wanted to get into the habit of, because if you go back and look at the archives, because we're streaming on everything now. If you go back and listen to the archives, not the Magnus archives, of the old show, excuse me, every once in a while I would pop in with something. We did a whole thing with Ella testing ghost equipment sometimes, ghost equipment apps on our phone.
I remember that because I got in trouble right after because I had episode on my phone.
And we did, like when I first noticed that the Bloody Mary had moved to 3 a.m., like, so different things that we had done. And so I decided, like, oh, hey, there used to be a platform for this where episodes weren't necessarily episodes, but we could just kind of pop in with an interesting development in the news or something that, like, caught my attention. And so it was like, oh, here we go. But I also wanted to test my internet and stuff like that in the new place. So Ella's trying to get as comfortable as she can. Stools hate you too. So it looks like we're fidgeting with things, it's because we're trying to get...
I have edible cookie dough. You want some?
I do not want any edible cookie dough. You are not on camera, by the way, so I can move
guys,
this a
what's
little
up?
bit to this, but otherwise you're going to have to get... I'll move over a little bit if
I'm
you
okay.
want. You're okay? All right,
I'm
beautiful.
okay.
There you go. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how good the reception has been for this, but I gotta put it in the thing, which is the Haunted Ocala book. And for those of you guys who do not know, who are not following on social media or whatever, the Haunted Ocala book, Haunted Ocala National Forest, does really well. This is actually the hardcover version of it. But this week, I released a new book, which is this one, which I still cannot even remember the name when people ask me. It is called The Ghostly Tales of Ocala National Forest. I think you should say of the Ocala National Forest, but it is from the same publisher, and basically what they did was they said, hey, we want you to do a kids version. So this is, if you want to think of, and you can look kind of at the pages here. I'll put up some pages anyway so you can kind of see. But this is like pretty much the Haunted Ocala National Forest meets Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. We all like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, right?
Oh yeah. We do.
Beautiful. So if you like that and you like true ghost stories, then imagine this. And then they did a really good job of putting it together. Have you looked through the book at all? Devin was reading parts of it out loud to me. I'll let you look through the book as we go. And I'm going to do a whole bunch of different promotional stuff for it
A man got
and stuff
hurt.
like that, so people can kind of experience it.
A man
But
got hurt while installing the elevator.
Okay, you pick like the most boring line of the book to read.
So if you hear an owl screeching outside outside at night, lock your windows. It might just be an owl getting ready to hunt. Or an owl's with another owl. It might be something else though. If you have broken the rules set by the Stikini. It's pronounced. It's Skitini in the book.
What?
It's Skitini in the book.
Misspelling! Oh no!
Guys,
Wah, wah,
this is
wah.
why he needs me on this.
I can't believe that. Do you know how many edits that went through? Okay, we don't need to show it. We don't need to show it, but oh my word! Oh no!
About not walking in the woods, they might just give you.
Oh no! So, I wanted to first say that the book is out and announce that it was out, and to obviously point out a mistake that was already made in it. So, let's see how long it takes before people start to yell at me. Hopefully, little kids will be, because it's for ages 6 to 13. So people keep contacting me, and I'm like, are you looking for the adult version? Or then the adult version makes it sound like it's like something dirty in it or something like that, right? We don't need to say the word porno. By the way, you can feel free to like make little TikTok videos as we do this.
You like that?
That looks like cousin Alex.
Looks like you.
I look like them as well. But I also wanted to talk about there you go. Their book is out, and you should buy it if you've got kids that are into ghosts and are into spooky little stories and things like that. Ella now has her own Instagram. You should share it to your Instagram.
Okay.
Beautiful. You joined. Look, Ella Jane P joined.
I know it.
Let me wave at you.
Not everybody's gonna know my Instagram. Everybody's gonna want to.
No one cares. But I wanted to talk about two really interesting stories that have come up in front of me for the past week. The first one's a little bit older, but it was really like I kept getting update after update after update after update, and it was kind of crazy. Ella, do you know who Glen Powell is?
Yeah.
Who's Glen Powell?
He's an actor.
Yeah. Do you know what he's on or anything?
Well, I know he was in Anyone But You. I saw that movie.
Anyone But You?
Yep.
Okay, dude is a loon.
Really?
So, have you been following like the Glen
You
Powell
know what I heard there was
controversy that's been going on?
I heard there was though.
Okay, so both of these stories are both of the stories I'm going to share tonight kind of show the power of the internet
Wait, before we talk
and the
about
world that we live in.
Can we talk about the controversy with freaking Justin Timberlake?
No, we're not going to talk about Justin Timberlake because that seems like a pretty straightforward thing, and we don't just celebrity bash here.
Okay, well.
But
yeah, we'll get arrested for slander.
So you've said you've seen something that Glen Powell is in? You think he's dreamy?
Not really, no.
No, not really. So
I'm sure people do.
he was on, he was on a podcast called Therapus with Jake Shore on May 22nd, so right before my birthday. And this just goes to show you the power of celebrity and how what you used to do, like just two people talking, like we're just two people talking right now, right? Like it doesn't seem, podcasts have this sense they create this environment where you just kind of chit-chatting, you know what I'm saying? Like you usually don't get too heavy deep into things unless it's that kind of podcast. Usually you're trying to promote something. You're hanging out with someone. I believe even in the interview you can see like he's got like one leg up. They're on couches and stuff like that. And he kind of goes through his whole interview. It's like a 47-minute interview.
Wow.
And yeah, well, it's a podcast episode of this show, Therapus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm not going to try to get any closer to it than that. And towards the end, he just decides to tell this cautionary tale so that people know that bad people are out there.
Oh, really?
Right?
I have no...
And so he talks about if you haven't heard this, I actually have a link to the interview segment here. It's from E! So just ignore all the stuff at the end about him dating people, who he's dating and stuff. But the first part of the clip that I'm sharing in the show notes is about him, and he's saying his sister's friend, right, went on a date through Bumble. And I'm not going to give all the details. I'm going to give kind of like the important details. So she goes on this date, and it kind of goes well, and then she decides to go home with him.
Okay.
Right? And it was a very casual thing. It wasn't like she was going to hook up. It was more of like, I mean, obviously hookup was in the back of, the mines or whatever. But they go back, and she's like, oh, I'm really sore from work, and he volunteers to give her a massage. And so he starts to give her this massage, which, I mean, I don't know if you've ever gone on a Bumble date before, but that's a pretty typical Bumble thing to do.
I don't think so.
No. So, well, Bumble's women make the decisions, so it's very empowering. So he's giving the massage, and she starts to feel kind of queasy and weird, and she just decides to book it out of it. Like, it gets too intense, and she's like, I gotta get out of here, and so she ditches him, and I'm getting parts of this story wrong, but, like, however it turns out, she's got this stuff, like she develops a rash or something like that, and so they decide to get it checked. She decides to get it checked out from the doctor, and what the doctor said was like, well, what has been on your skin? And they realized that it was this specialized tenderizing lotion that people have been using to tenderize and make human limbs ready for eating.
Oh my god.
So this guy's intent was to
Eat her?
eat her.
Oh my god, ew!
Yes, that's oddly enough, I've had a few Bumble dates and none of them have ended in cannibalism.
I have.
Yet.
You know, once upon a time.
Well, I understand what it's like. So he goes and he tells this story, and obviously the host interacts with him and asks a few more questions. No problem. And it is, and it goes. I don't know if you could say it would go viral, but I mean, you're 15. She's 15 now. You're 15 and you heard about it.
That's crazy.
Even if you didn't hear the details of it, my inbox has been flooded with alerts because it's been on all different things, and he's had to come out and talk about it and stuff like that.
Videos like, oh my god, Glen Powell, and I'm like, so why is all this crazy with Glen Powell, and why is he relevant now?
Right? Why are we talking about Glen Powell? Like, who's?
Like, the movie came out like last year.
There you go. And so I don't. Yeah, I think it was much more of like him hanging out, talking on a podcast. Obviously, 100% not true, right? So it's not a real thing at all.
Because if that exists, then I think maybe the person who made that must be studied.
Made the lotion?
Yeah.
Well, I would think so. If someone really made it, and
Would that be legal?
and I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this. I'm pretty sure, if he didn't say it, there was backlash on it that talked about there being a cult, that this was their thing, right? Like, that there was a cult of people who were tenderizing people with using it. And of course, once it hit, people were saying, and this is the beauty or danger, depending on how you look at it, of an urban legend. People were saying, I think I've heard that before. It must be true. Hey, Doreen, what's going on? It's good to see you here. Congratulations on everything. And that's the power of an urban legend, is that it's just true enough that people think that it's got to happen, right? And think about how he presented that story, because that's the important part. Do you know what a friend of a friend story is?
Yeah, it's like I was kind of told this, but I'm not like, didn't happen to me, didn't happen to anyone close to me, it's kind of like somebody near me.
Exactly. So, like, urban legend and friend of a friend stories can be used, those phrases can be used, like, interchangeably, right? It's not you, it didn't happen to you, it happened to someone you know, right? So it's always this kind of two things of distance. And of course, when he was saying it about his sister, he probably was just saying my sister's friend because he had heard it from someone, or heard it from somewhere, or got it somewhere in the ether, or read something about it, which is why it seems so familiar to other people. I actually, if you go to Snopes, they were able to trace it back to these other urban legends. It touches upon all these urban legends. Have you ever heard an urban legend about cannibals?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, which ones do you know?
I don't know, but I know them.
That's
You know all of
deep.
them?
That's deep.
I don't know.
My favorite cannibal story, like cannibal urban legend, is about the guy who goes, like, It's always some foreign country. It's always some third world country, and they like someone goes off and comes to America, and then for some reason the family, like his family, goes and visits him or whatever, and they send, essentially to spoil it, they send his ashes back, but they don't know that they're ashes because they don't do that in their country, and so they think it's some kind of seasoning, so they put it on all their food.
Oh.
And so for months until the person gets back, they've been eating like the ashes of this person.
He's inside
Yeah, it is.
inside of us all.
He's he lives in you. So it's this very interesting, like, cannibalism is. I used to have this. I still have it. Hey, and now we have a DVD player again,
Yeah, it's freaking
so we can watch it. This whole thing about cannibals and our fascination with them and things like that. And it is like the ultimate taboo, right? Is the ultimate like thing you're not supposed to do. Cannibalism, like even serial killers. And it makes sense, right? Because wasn't the since we've been on the air last, the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix show. It's not a documentary.
It's, yeah, technically it's
Docudrama about Jeffrey Dahmer was like huge, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all my students knew who Jeffrey Dahmer was. They didn't know like who the president was, but they knew who Jeffrey Dahmer was. So it was just this very interesting story, and it does not die. It is not dying. Yeah, I saw that. Donald Sutherland died
That's
today.
sad.
I didn't know him, so it's not sad.
He's my best friend.
Although I did just watch on my birthday, May 24th. Thank you for all your presents.
Yeah.
On my birthday, I did watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers to see if it was as good as I remembered it. It was amazing.
What movie tripping was that?
It was amazing. But anyway, yeah, R.I.P. Donald Sutherland. So I think it's the weird thing about it is it's been almost a month, and I'm still getting news updates about it, and people are still posting about it and stuff like that. So it's, and the funny thing is that so many of the videos that I'm seeing, like on TikTok about them, for example, which we now have a TikTok, which is, tripping on legends.
I feel like we did before.
We did, but we were more active on it now. So many of the videos have the tone of, I know people are saying it's not like what happened to his sister's friend isn't real, but this is really happening. It's kind of like those stories when you tell people them and you go like, that's not true, and they say, yeah, but it could be true, and that's enough to make it like important, and I'm like, not really. So that was the first story. I just was amazed by that. And I wanted to get any feedback you have. You might not have it, of me just throwing it at you like that. I don't know. Like, do you think that's dangerous? Like, people going around. Like, do you think that makes the internet dangerous?
I think stuff like that could be dangerous if handled by the wrong person. As in, like, maybe somebody sees that and is like, wow, a lotion that tenderizes flesh to be eaten. That sounds like a great idea. Like, if somebody was fantasizing about being a cannibal or having cannibalistic, like...
You think it's
like
you
that,
think it's
it
powerful enough that, like, people could be...
People are... Can I curse on here?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
People are bat crazy.
Oh, yeah, you can say it. Go ahead, say that.
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I'll just about it. People are bat crazy today. Like, people will do anything for views. People will do anything... Oh, my God. People do anything for views. People do anything for fame. Or maybe they're just absolutely crazy. And I feel like maybe that might be a possibility in the future. Because I feel like a lot of people will get stupid ideas from the internet.
I was thinking not necessarily like people were going to go out and eat people, as much as people were going to be thinking that it was real, and that's dangerous. Like, it helps to build your distorted idea or your distorted view of what's going on in the world.
This guy's taking me home. What if he puts lotion on me and tries to...
Yeah, ultimately we don't want it to get people off Bumble because
we love
that's
Bumble.
needed in our
Bumble.
society, right?
Women empowerment.
Women empowerment, you go.
Do you want some?
No, thank you. But what really got me, and I was like, I'm just kind of throwing that one out. What really got me was a rabbit hole I went down last night, and I actually yelled at Ella I'm like, Ella! And she was on the phone, and 3 different devices with her friends. They had some kind of weird conference thing going on, and I was like, "This is not easy." Oh, they were playing Fortnite because I guess it's like 12 years ago.
I just learned how last night.
This was a rabbit hole I went down, and I was on TikTok, and as you can tell from this, I'm a huge advocate for TikTok, and I think it's what moves the needle in the paranormal, and especially when you talk about urban legends, ghostly legends, things like that. I love that kind of content. And there are a few things that I'm immediately like, I know that story is not true. And I look it up real quick. Like, it just feels not true to me. I look it up, and I'm able to kind of, like, disprove it, okay? As I'm talking, I want you to be looking at some of the things I'm talking about, just so you can kind of see on your phone.
Okay.
Oh, just so you can see what I'm referring to. And and what I want you to look up is this Christian show, which originated here in Florida, called Joy Junction.
I'm looking at it.
All right. So what I want you to do is like
It
just.
has a .org. You see that?
It has a
Oh,
.org.
it's a place of refuge. That's not.
Yeah, that's
it.
not it.
That's the
Go to
church.
video, and I've linked the video, which I came across last night in like 12 parts on the longest one. Or you can just look at the images. So it's a video. The one that I saw was by Nick Crowley on YouTube, but I actually watched it originally on TikTok, and then I was like, I'm tired of looking at 27 different versions of it, so I played the whole YouTube video. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, is this real? Right? Just play the long one. It's like 20 minutes or something like that. Yeah, Nick Crowley. So if you want to get all the details, because I'm not going to give all the details of it on this, go in, just type in Joy Junction, and the video that you're going to be watching is the Nick Crowley one. Now, Ella's watching it right now. When you see that, what's the first thing you think?
This
Like,
looks like an indie horror.
It looks like an indie horror. It looks like...
This is look at this.
Go
is
ahead,
the
you can
intro
kind of show it.
sequence.
Right, like
It
it
looks like an indie horror
100...
game.
It 100% looks like
This looks like a
a
Mandela
Walton
catalog.
Files Mandela catalog. Like, it looks like it is made. And when you watch it, they show, like, the same 5 clips, right? And it looks like, and it's got the, like, the static. And so as you're watching it, you're like, is it real or is it not real? And so I fell down the rabbit hole of wanting to know whether this show was real or not real. And the way I wanted to approach it tonight was this idea of like, we are living in such a screwed up world, or such a fantasy rich world, that we don't know what's real. Like, the whole idea of like fake news has kind of become cliche, but we're in a point in the world, in media, where we can create something. And you and I have talked about making our own,
Yes.
and what it would take to do it, and it wouldn't take very much to do it, right? Like, you're just scratching a little bit.
You have to
Did you
come
see
up-
that?
No, I did not. I'm sorry. I'm so proud.
She's reading your comments about her.
All your achievements.
And
Sorry,
she
not
got her
sorry.
learner's permit
I got my
today,
learner's
too.
permit today, guys. I can officially drive. Thank
Beautiful.
you. I don't know.
With Mom.
Or you.
Yeah, or Mom. So, Joy Junction is supposedly, and we'll get more into it, but supposedly this kids show that started in 1979 and lasted into the 2000s. And it was this very cheaply made Christian show, right? Oh, that's what we're focusing on right there. This cheaply made Christian show, which was taped in front of a live studio audience with kids, and it was on Saturday mornings. And this is the story that you're getting, right? Oh yeah, we'll get there. And so it very much looks like, to me, as I was first watching it, it looks like someone in 2024 trying to create a show that looks like it's from the 1970s, right? It's kind of like over the top 70s. But the show supposedly was shot out of Tampa. It was broadcast on a Tampa network. And it featured all of these characters. Now, you've never, I would assume, watched a Christian show before, right? But I used to. I mean, I
I'm
watched.
sorry for getting up.
No, that's fine. I watched, what was it, Davy and Goliath. I watched Barber Papa, were both Christian shows. I used to watch this show with Nicodemus, and they were like, it was like a Dry Gulch or something like that. I don't know if anyone knows the name of that. I'm sure I could look it up, or she could look it up in 2 seconds. And they're all pretty much the same, right? There's a real world situation, and this was very much what this show was like. It was a real world situation, and then it would be like, but they were storytellers. They had this like Western look to them. I'm talking actually now about Joy Junction as well. And it was like this rootin' tootin', and then it would be like, but like we could solve this problem if we only had Jesus in our life, and so they would use it to preach, right? And it was very successful, and it was popular, and it was, I mean, the show was on supposedly for over 20 years, right? So it had to have been, and from the understanding in this video, is that it became syndicated, right? Like became so popular that they were showing it all across the country. And then, very much like a Mandela effect, the show went off the air with no explanation, with no farewell episodes, with no declining ratings. Like, it just all of a sudden, boom, one day it was no longer on. And because it was syndicated, different times had it like off at different, and they were showing some old episodes. So if you look, no one really knows when it was on. Well, the weird thing is that they can't find any clips. So the idea is it's totally lost. Everyone who was associated with it destroyed it. The networks that showed it, completely eliminated all traces of it. They wiped it from history. So now, as they're wiping it from history, do you want a piece of paper to write notes on?
Well, I need to write something down so we can just look up later.
As they're, wrong one. As they're wiping it from history, it's like, well, why are they doing this? Like, what's so weird about this or important about this? Or, why are they going from being an extremely popular syndicated show to gone, right? And if you can't find something on the internet, right, if you can't find that weird dude that remembers that one show, like Doreen, I said about the Nicodemus and the Dry Gulch, and you immediately knew it, right? Like, when people talk about those things, nostalgia is huge, especially for those quirky little things. The clips that are on YouTube, none of which, by the way, come from alternate sources that are not Nick Crowley, are all supposed to come from old VHS tapes, right? They're supposed to come from, like, we found it in a garage sale and da-da-da-da-da. And on the video, there are a ton of people who remember it, right? Like, people in the comments, especially of that main video, say that they remember it, but there's no trace of it. I looked it up. Obviously, what's the first site I'm going to go to?
Wikipedia?
No.
You went to Wikipedia first.
Oh no. This has been like a 24-hour thing for me.
What do you go to?
IMDb, my favorite website, my favorite app. So I went to IMDb, and when you click on it, there's no start date, there's no end date. It's a new IMDb page, and the people who, like, if you click on the people who are supposedly in it, when they have other things, what's going on, sister? It's always goes back to Nick Crowley's, like, it seems Nick Crowley's, like, other projects, right? So everything on the IMDb makes it seem as if this is fake. Is it a real show? Is it not a real show? And why do we care? I spent literally hours last night, and every time I wanted to change my opinion, something else would come up. Because there is a controversy that people feel took the show down. I am not going to give you all of the details of this. I want you to watch the video. It's only like 20 minutes long. And you can, like, whoop, forward to the end.
The little, what's it called? The headline's a little disturbing.
It is disturbing if you look it up. The name of the show was Joy Junction. Now, on the show, there was a guy named Ronald Williams. And Ronald Williams, if you look at him on the show, he is the definition of stranger danger.
Like, he looks like a freak.
Like,
You want me to look up a picture?
no, it's right there. Like, that's like look he's
I mean,
right there.
well, they can't see it.
You can't see it.
Well, they can't see it.
They can't see it either. But they're looking it up right now. I
What's his name?
guarantee you.
Ronald?
Ronald Williams, and he was a ventriloquist or a puppeteer, however you want to call it, because he wasn't a very good ventriloquist, but he had this little puppet named
Freak show.
Marty.
Freak show.
That's
That guy
that's
is
Ronnie
this is the scariest
right there.
guy
That's
I've
Ron
ever
right
seen in
there.
my whole life. This guy looks
Now,
like he
obviously,
kidnapped me off
everyone in the
street.
70s looked like Stranger Danger. This puppet and this guy, they were ridiculously creepy. Like, I can't imagine. Show them the whole picture, like the picture with the puppet.
Oh,
Although anyone who's listening to this on the podcast is definitely like Googling these terms already. And just do the picture, like don't do the headline. Okay, look at the. I posted a picture, like saying that we were
Wait, I'm
going
gonna cover
live.
the. Oh, wait, there.
Oh, that's fine. Trust me. That's the puppet right there.
Let me pull this. Hold on. Let me turn my brightness down. There we go.
Oh my word. Okay, they get it. He and Marty, Ron and Marty, were some of the things. It was so over the top what they were saying. They were the primary reason why I assumed it had to be fake, because they would be talking about like some of my friends wanted me to look at dirty pictures, and I told them no. Like it's hard to show restraint, da, 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 da. Like all of these things. I'm like, well, you know what you can turn to? You can turn to Jesus, right? Like it was all these crazy scenarios that this puppet was going into, and then Ronald's job was to bring him back to Christ and be like, you know what can help you with that? If you just follow the Lord. Like, have you tried praying instead of watching pornography? Like, it was crazy. He doesn't use the word pornography in the video. And you're like, this is so over the top, scary, first of all. And it's like what we watched Late Night with the Devil. Best horror movie I've seen
So
in like
good.
decades.
Go watch. And we saw it at like 12 in the morning.
Right, we saw it in a movie theater. We saw it at like midnight, and there was no one in the theater. And I turned to her and I said, "What if like they only show it like, and they don't allow anyone else in? And this is how they kill people." And it felt like we were in another world. Anyway, right, and AI can do wonders. Like we do live in a world where you can have the internet create things, and it was just like, if you wanted to put that together, I could do that as a student project. I'd get fired, but I could do that as a student project, like have a teenage crowd, have them dress in like, in bell bottoms and like, 70s shirts. Like you guys did a whole 70s thing, didn't you? And like people wearing shirts and stuff like that. Like it's very easy to duplicate that look. Then you add a little bit of grain to it, and all of a sudden you've got this nostalgic thing. So I was 100% convinced. Here's what happens, and I'm going to give you a recap. I'm not going to give you every single thing, Tanya, every single thing that's part of it. There's this guy in a different place, and he gets caught with child pornography, right? And they start tracing this and tracing other things and chat things and stuff like that, and they trace it, spoilers, to this Ronald Williams, who then gets arrested. And when he gets arrested, he's got all of this creepy stuff too. He's got, in addition to child pornography, again, they were talking about how much they wanted to eat these children. Right? Like they wanted to take these children, and there's like conversation after conversation after conversation about these two men fantasizing about it. In addition to that, which was probably the creepiest part of it, was included in these images, was lost posters for kids in the Tampa area who were never found.
Oh
Do you know what I'm saying? Like almost like the digital version of keeping a scrapbook of like you can't see Ella's off camera right now, but her face is appalled and I mean it is like
That's so
horrific
disgusting.
stuff. And because it was so horrific and it was so roundabout, it once again so I'm going on, I'm watching this and I'm just baffled as I'm watching it. I keep pausing it and then looking things up and pausing it and looking things up. I looked it up, right? And so when I looked it up, I kept finding no trace of Joy Junction there that wasn't like recent, right? To back this up, we looked today.
Literally 3 p.m.
We were in the DMV, right?
Get this
Things
in
to
the
do in the
DMV.
DMV. It was hilarious because I'm scrolling down and you went, Dad, stop it.
It said it was like the site that you get that stuff on.
It was like a blue. Yeah, how that was the
It was
weird
it
thing
was-
is that
it
like
was
when it said
Wikipedia linked
connected
it.
stuff, yeah, it linked it to.
And it was like, oh, interesting. And I was like, Dad, you have to scroll up because people are gonna think that you have that open on your phone.
Well, Tanya, she's from Kissimmee, or Kissimmee. I always pronounce it wrong, but like there are a ton of children who went missing. I cover it in the non-Haunted America version of the Ocala National Forest, like a lot of children in central Florida this way that went missing. And so, like, it all made sense, but it was all too perfect. The Wikipedia page we found was set up
Like
June 17th. It was
Yeah, it
Devin's
was like-
birthday.
it
It
was
was like the Wikipedia page
recent.
was literally 3 days ago it was set up. And when you went to so what I do when I look at things, if I'm looking for it, is I go to the website and first of all I'm like, who's reporting this, right? Because this would be a huge story. He gets arrested, he dies in jail, he gets sentenced to 20 years, huge trial, and I'm like, if this is real, why am I not getting anything? Why can I not find anything? Why is everything that I'm finding looking either recent or is not accessible, or is one site like linking to another site, and then the sites that they're linking to are like, childkiller.net. Like these not what I would see as reputable names of sites like xxr257.net. Like things that weren't
Gonna steal your internet.
like it felt like anything that I clicked on was going, somehow I was going to end up in the dark web, the mythical dark web. And so, I was convinced that it was fake, right? It's not fake. None of it is fake. Joy Junction is a real show. Ronald Williams is a real child pornographer, potential murderer. And I was able to find it, like using newspapers.com, I was able to find the listing of the show. Like an old like TV guide, like she's never read a newspaper in her life or looked at a newspaper, but they, how they have like, how they have the like what's on tonight kind of thing, like little like TV guide grids. Thousands and thousands and thousands of entries of Joy Junction being on Saturday mornings. You know what I'm saying? So it totally fit the story. This was a real show. And they were like, okay, how am I going to get through thousands and thousands of entries, most of which are TV guide grids? So then I put in Puppeteer. I was able to follow the entire case. This was a real man. This whole situation was real. This sting was real. I don't know if maybe some of the details over time, especially as they're described by Nick Crowell, are maybe slightly off, because life happens and I didn't. But what's even creepier is that I was able to find references to Ronald Williams as being like the premier puppeteer of the Tampa Bay area, and all of these little like things praising him. and the good work he's doing with children and how much he loves children.
Oh,
Like, it was
wow.
really, when you know where the story goes,
That's kind of like the worst kind.
it ended up being like the most respected puppeteer, which is crazy because if you watch the video, he's a horrible ventriloquist. Like, it's absolutely insanely bad. And I don't mean to make light of it, but like, oh, and there was this one part where he was constantly having
See what happened there.
kids over to his house for pizza so that he could like praise the good book and stuff like that. Like, he was a minister and it's absolutely horrific. Nothing paranormal, nothing supernatural about it, but definitely taps into this idea of what the hell is real. Like, how do we even know what's real? Like, let's assume for a second it hadn't been real, right?
Why would somebody make that?
Why not? Like, if we go to, I'm looking right now.
What are you talking about?
I'm going to look right now. Tell me how many. Sorry, we're looking at it from
2.2 million
2.2 million hits, views.
subscribers, buddy.
Oh, 2.2 million subscribers?
And let's see how many views. 846,555 views.
In a week. So if
Wow,
you're
that's-
asking.
Oh my god, in 6 days. That's crazy.
Right, that's what I just said.
How many likes?
So if you're
49,000.
49,000
A lot of
likes.
people did not like this video.
So,
It's
okay,
not
we got to go
approved by
back.
these schools.
No, it is definitely not going to be approved by elite schools either. So, you asked why. Why would someone make this? Well, someone would make it because they have 2.2. So I'm going to dig more into this Nick Crowley, because if he's creating content like this, and I think I liked his TikTok because I was like, oh, well, this is really interesting. We are so shell-shocked that when we see something, we don't know whether it's real, whether it's not. Like, no one else is going to do the deep dive that I did. No one else is going to spend hours. This is just going to wash over them. It very easily could have been not real. And also, I guess the other side of it is, if this is a warning, like just like our good friend Glen Powell's, like, if this is a warning we're supposed to take seriously, do we? Like, I know.
Glen Powell. My best friend.
Hashtag Glen Powell. My best friend Glen Powell. So I know that, like, certain friends of mine are talking as if human trafficking is new, right? Like, they just realized that this stuff was going on. And they've been telling me for years, like, do you know how much is going out of Naples? This person, I'm like, but it's not. Like, not that human trafficking is not, but that, like, these kids who they think are missing are not missing. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so in our face, and we're unable to tell, that it makes it so that it's the boy who cried wolf. Like, you know that story, right? It's the boy who cried wolf. Like, if we can no longer tell, that's really weird. Literally, that's crazy.
Has that ever happened? Is it plugged in?
No, it's not plugged in. It's like,
Oh, I didn't.
it was fully charged when we started this less than an hour ago.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun. So,
Ronnie, what is the name?
Ronald Williams. So it's just one of those things. Those were just two very interesting stories. I'd love to have your guys' thoughts on it, or if you know other stories like this that have, like, become extremely popular very quickly and been either fake, and obviously fake. And these two stories kind of, like, go with each other, right? In addition to, like, the cannibalism thing, she's literally scrolling through, like, her thing as we go. But also this idea of, like, we don't know what is real. And so it blinds us. So we've got a few really good shows coming up. I just spoke to Deanna tonight via text about, like, is she coming back, stuff like that. We are going back out into the field. I literally have, if you follow the social media, Instagram, Spooky Tripping, TikTok, Spooky Tripping on Legends. I've been posting, like, oh my word, like, I literally have an entire file of things, of stories that we're following up on. So going into holiday season, meaning October, you're going to want to follow us because I've got a ton of events coming up, a few different book releases, Haunted Objects, since the last time we've been on, is now out. And so I've got some really cool shows coming up, some of which will feature this one over here. Do you want to be in on the phone call show?
What is that?
The haunted numbers, because I want you to actually call some of the numbers on air.
Is it gonna kill my phone?
Charge your damn phone. There's a charger right
No,
over
I mean,
there.
like, is it gonna curse my
Oh,
phone?
curse your phone? No, it'll curse your life. Whoop. Anyway, I'm not going to give too
Oh, I
much
like that
away,
photo.
but oh, thank you. In the next week or so, I think that's another pep rally photo, right?
No, that's
Um, In the next week or so, probably. If Ella wants to be on it, chances are it'll be on Tuesday. If not, we'll make it a little bit later. But a lot of things coming up. If you're local, I am now doing the ghost tours in Fort Myers. So you go to truetours.net. I need to put that like in the show notes now. If you're local, you might want to come see the tour. I am Christopher Balzano,
I'm Ella Balzano.
and here's hoping that all of your rabbit holes at this point.
Are deep and legendary.
No, you can't say deep and legendary. You have to just let the legendary lie there. It's been so long. I'm Christopher Balzano. That's crazy. I literally like I charged it. It was on full charge. It was on full charge. Facebook was completely dead. Let's hope that it saved or something like that. We'll try to check it out. Here's hoping all your trips are legendary. Thank you guys on Instagram. You can hit the end record over there. Thank you guys for following up. Just make sure you stay for more content. And